actually think that's a very healthy stance and position to take, because that demonstrates to Building Canada too that this is just not all smoke and mirrors. You really are serious about coming back in the future. This is your only option to come to, really having done a thorough examination of the issues, and you're highly likely not going to be looking at any alternative in that. But you're not saying you're going to influence this first stage, because it's going in a direction, a healthy direction right now. We know where you're going, and you still want to be a part of it in the future. So if you are active in the EA process, then that covers both issues on.
I mean, that's my opinion. Certainly the members of that.
Yes, Bill. I guess it looks like between other than John, we were the only ones left who was sitting at that week of negotiations, and Mr. McKenzie took me outside, as your previous mayor said, took me out from the woodshed. But at that time, I was pressured really hard to put a date on, just like the date. And I said, I can't put a date on it, and I won't put a date. And he took me outside and informed me that you're going to have to put a date. And I said, I can't, because our people have never given us that photo. They want to go ahead with something, we want to see what's happening. We haven't got that. It was Lambton Shores that came along and come up with a suggestion that South Huron looked at and spent a lot of time discussing it in another room, and came back and agreed with them to keep us in. But at no time did they ever know we were going to be flowing material. We said it could be 5 years, it could be 8 years before we flow material. But just like Steve said, we always felt, and I think Lambton Shores felt, for the benefit of the area, if we ever do it, it should come there. So how involvement in the plant, that's not our concern at this time. But we want to be part of it, or we would appreciate being part of it for as long as that takes. But as I said, we knew that 2 years ago. I made it quite clear. We cannot put a time, we're not putting a date, I'm not putting nothing on it. And as I said, Lambton Shores was the one that came up with an alternative, and if you read through, you'll see their alternative to make sure that we had an opportunity to save it. Thank you.
The concern is, with us designing this new plant, that there be expandability, and we're all agreed that there is going to be expandability, and that would be part that Blue Water would have that addressed through the EA addendum that's being made as far as expandability, is making sure it's there, so they have their say on that. Don, you had something?
Just the discussions with my colleague from Blue Water. A couple of key issues with this. Even in a mediated agreement, members that didn't contribute to the capital cost did not have a vote. That was in the mediated agreement as well. So we're not really talking about doing anything too different here. Mediated agreement has expired, but that process did clearly resolve that point. The other thing, I think, from South Huron's perspective, we would welcome the involvement of Blue Water in the ESR amendment. It's absolutely necessary, because we're not changing the service area, we're not changing the ultimate sewage flows. The only changes that are being proposed is to phase the plant so that the initial phase is scaled down, and we're actually not introducing, we're just maximizing flow equalization with the smaller plants. So two things that are different. So for the public, the information that there are certain areas that are now not going to be included in this initial phase is really what the ministry wants us to communicate to the public, so that all of Blue Water is also the public and residents of Blue Water are aware that their area, flows from their area, are not included in the initial phase. And there are pros and cons of that, which will come out through the ESR amendment. Okay. So having Blue Water participate through the ESR process makes perfect sense. But we get to a point where the new joint agreement has been negotiated. It will include the involvement of Blue Water, if any. We hope that it will be future involvement. Very assume, once we get to the rest of the meeting agenda, the scope change or the dialogue with the funding agencies will also determine, settle this question about how Blue Water's involvement now in the future will impact the funding. So we have a few things in a very short period of time will resolve themselves.
Okay. So motion to receive and file the letter? What a name, I don't know what to do.
I have a possible motion for discussion. Motion that Blue Water be a participating member in the ESR amendment process, but not involved in the first phase of the plant, although they are welcome to sit at the table as observers throughout the discussions. I can read that again just for your interest, so let's see if I can get a seconder for that. So, Blue Water, you got something better? You got something better?
So, I guess clarification that I would ask, sit at the table and participate in the discussions but not vote?
As observers?
Or
throughout
only
the discussion.
as observers?
I was saying, voting rights for Blue Water are limited to those pertaining to any Class A amendments. Full voting rights for Blue Water on operational issues will be granted once a formal commitment to join the plant is received by the board.
Possible?
I have a better one till we get down through this further. Receive and file. Till we get through this.
Till we get through the
Like,
rest of
there's a lot more stuff here.
I know there, as I said, there's
Yeah.
things in here that we have to
Maybe
make
we can answer
decisions
some
on.
of your
Okay.
hour.
That's fine.
Down further? I'll
I
make a
will try.
motion.
That we receive
I
and
withdraw.
file at this point. Seconder for that? Dave? All in favor?
Well, I guess Marcellus and I need to know up front, when a motion comes up later this morning, is Blue Water to vote on this motion?
I don't believe so. From the direction.
This is a joint board meeting. We're going back to the old,
Tri-municipal meeting then?
we're going back to the old agreement,
Arrangement.
correct?
It's the other way down.
Two
Only
municipalities.
two municipalities here.
Once some of these other questions are answered, then maybe.
Yeah. We can,
But right now,
okay. I guess, you're here as observers. 5.2 is a staff report, from Brent. We want to go through, and there's some questions and some decisions that I think we need to talk about in there. Brent, would you like to move up to the table to take us through this report? If that's agreeable by the board. That tells us where your council's at and where our council's at.
Okay, so we put together a staff report. Basically what I wanted to do was just at least present all the motions that both respective councils have passed with this project in the past two meetings. So our July 27th meeting, the board received a presentation from Stantec. The board then shortlisted two options for consideration to be given back to both South Turn and Lantern Shores Council. South Turn, I understand, considered the staff report at their August 7th meeting. Lantern Shores considered one at the August 14th meeting, and a preferred option was selected by both councils. Out of the Lantern Shores meeting, there were subsequent motions passed respecting the project, most of which Lantern Shores Council was asking the board consider various items. So that's really what this report summarizes, is to generate some discussion around the project and some of the next steps and considerations that we have to make. I think we should be noted, we're probably on a fast track right now, given the timeline of doing a redesign and ESR amendment and then building. So we do need to move forward on some of these issues. So any sort of direction the board wants to give will help us move that forward.